Okay, you know the drill by now. Google Analytics has been a fixture in our lives for the past 15 years, but it's going away soon as we know it. But I have some good news for you. There are many analytics tools out there that are hoping to take the throne away from Google.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Will any of them proceed? In this video, I'm going to share 10 hosted web analytics tools that are fighting to be the natural successor to Universal Google Analytics, or as I like to call it, GA3. Each of these tools has been passed through our 7-point rating system to determine the closest alternative to Universal GA. Now this video covers hosted analytics tools, which means all-in-one analytics suites that are hosted on the software provider's servers. You send data to these tools by installing a tracking code, much like how it's been done with Universal Analytics for years. Now it's safe to say that all these tools are alternatives to GA3 because many of them were copycats of GA3, or they came out as a more privacy-focused alternative, and they've been going at this for years, trying to find a reason to get people to switch over as opposed to using Universal Analytics, which we've come to know and love. Now if you don't see a tool that you recognize on this list, don't worry. There will be several more categories of tools in our future videos, and so stay tuned to see the complete picture. And to make sure you get all these videos as they're released, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get notified of new videos. And for a complete list of all the alternatives, visit ddu.ai/buyga. So, which tool will pass the test? And what is the best alternative to GA3? Stay tuned as I reveal the first 11 tools on our list of GA alternatives.
The numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the
and then
amps go up to 10.
Now, tool number 10 is Gouges. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This is a real-time analytics tool that claims to be easy to use and understand. And with real-time analytics, Gouges will update your website each time a visitor views your site, and it focuses on visitor metrics. This is the lowest ranking tool of any tool that we ranked. And it comes down to a few things. One is it has a pretty low price score. It's actually fairly expensive to use, even though they have a free tier that you can use and take advantage of. We don't find it super easy to install. The features compared to regular Universal Analytics or even GA4 are a 1. They're not very good. We don't see a lot of privacy focus in this tool. It doesn't really integrate with other products, and the report quality, at least from our sample, does not look all that good. And so when you add it all up, this is a poorly ranking tool. It is number 10 on our list of hosted tools out of 10, and we do not recommend it that you proceed further in looking at this. The report quality is lacking, and it does require a lot of expertise to get set up, so our overall score for this is a 35, and it happens to be our worst ranking tool. Tool number 9 is Clicky. Now I've heard about Clicky for quite some time, and what it does is it tracks the same metrics as other analytics tools are out there, but it also offers things like heat map tracking, so you'll know which parts of your web page earn the most attention. And its strengths are really this real-time reporting heat map, tracking backlink analysis, mobile compatibility, and more. Now the overall score for this tool is 55. That's because it's relatively inexpensive to get started. The price score is a 4. You can get started for as little as $10 a month. It's pretty easy to install, but where it really falls short is on the features comparison. So between different features, we give it a 2. We don't see a lot of focus on privacy, even though their website was just updated to say they are private, so maybe that needs to be updated. But we gave it a privacy score of 2. Integrations with other products, we give it a 3. It doesn't really report or integrate with other things. Report quality, we give it a 1 because it looks like they set it up a long time ago and they haven't changed it. And so it looks pretty out of date these days. And yet it does require a fair amount of expertise to get started. And that is why we rank Clicky as our number 9 analytics tool on the hosted tools category. Tool number 8 is Oribi. Now Oribi is a tool aiming to replace Google Analytics by providing insights and trends all in one report. Is that it used to be a pretty expensive tool and it was very high priced, so we had that knocking it. But you may not even be able to get it right now because it is something that is being folded into LinkedIn. So LinkedIn purchased this tool and it's not even something you can sign up for right now, but at some point it's going to be available for the heavy LinkedIn advertisers. And so a lot of this ranking is sort of in a state of flux right now because you can't even sign up for it right now anyway. But we'll finish out the category by saying that it's about a 3 out of 5 for installation ease. The comparison of features, it's a 3 out of 5 as well. Privacy score of 3, integration score of 3, and report quality of 3, and expertise needed as 3 as well. That gives us an overall score of 55 out of 100. And as you can see, pretty much in the middle of the pack, not really anything that stands out. And there's not really much of a reason for me to recommend it to you right now because it's not even something that's available to you at the moment. So let's move on to our next tool. Tool number 7 is Simple Analytics, and it sports a clean, simple design that's easy to navigate and understand. Like Matomo, which we're going to mention a little bit later, they advocate for user data privacy. Now, it's easy to understand with dashboards. You can email reports. There's a view of tweets within there. You can bypass ad blockers, and there's an API to export your data, plus dark mode for those of you on Apple computers. So we give an overall score of 60. The big one knocking it down is the price. The price score is of 2 because it's pretty expensive to get started, and there's not really a free tier of this. So you can do a free trial of up to 21 days. There's not a free tool out there. Installation ease, we give it a 5, but what it really lacks is features. The score of feature comparison is a 2. Privacy, it's pretty privacy-centric, so we gave it a 5 there. Integrations with other products works pretty well, but report quality, it's lacking, so we gave it a 2 out of 5. And then finally, the biggest challenge we saw is that you need a lot of expertise to get started, so we gave it a 1 out of 5 on expertise. Even though it says Simple Analytics, we found that it's pretty hard to get going. Our number 6 tool is Fathom Analytics. Now, like Simple Analytics, Fathom Analytics operates with a privacy-first policy. It tracks the most important metrics so you can make key marketing decisions faster. Now, what Fathom lists as their strengths is their company is built on putting digital privacy first. So any EU traffic is automatically routed through European-owned infrastructure. Canadian company has GDPR adequacy ruling, plus their GDPR, CCPA, ePrivacy, PECR, and more compliant. And since millions of people use browser plugins to block scripts, they've engineered and pioneered a method for bypassing ad blockers so you get a full picture of who's visiting your website without invading privacy. And because of this, Fathom doesn't require annoying cookie notices. So you might find that to be an advantage. Okay, now here's where we get it ranked, okay? The overall score is a 66 out of 100, and a lot of it comes down to price. It is somewhat expensive to get going, so we gave it a price score of 2 out of 5. It's not an alternative to the free GA in that sense, although there is a 14-day free trial. It's pretty easy to install, but on a feature comparison basis, we give it a 2 out of 5. Privacy, 5 out of 5, obviously, because of the way they're working. There's some nice integrations, so we gave it a 4 out of 5 for integrations. Report quality is pretty lacking. And from an expertise needed perspective, we gave it a 4 out of 5. You don't really need a ton of expertise to make this work for you. And if you're looking for something that's truly privacy-centric, this might be your best option. Okay, our number 5 is W3 Counter. If you add W3 Counter to your site, you can learn more about your visitors, build a following, and increase sales, and track your growth along the way. Now, you can see where your visitors live, what language they speak, and what kinds of devices they browse your site on, who's recently visited your site, where they're located, and exactly what path they took through your website. You can easily identify your key traffic sources and exactly what content they're looking for on your website with this tool. So that gives us a ranking of 66 overall. From a pricing perspective, it's a 4 out of 5. It's pretty reasonably priced. Now, there's not a lot of features that are similar to Google Analytics, so we gave that a 2 out of 5. It doesn't really mention privacy much, so we're not sure how private it is, so we gave it a 3 out of 5. It integrates not very well with other products, a 2 out of 5. Report quality, 3 out of 5. It really seems to be falling behind in other tools that are out there. Yet you don't really need a lot of expertise to get it running, and so that's why it has a pretty decent overall score and is number 5 in our hosted analytics tool category. Okay, tool number 4, Matomo Analytics. It's basically a Google Analytics alternative that protects your data and your customers' privacy. You can take back control with Matomo, a powerful web analytics platform that gives you 100% data ownership. And its strengths is that you're not damaging your relationships and your customers' trust by having something like Google Analytics, which Universal Analytics was a privacy nightmare, or it proved to be in the end. Okay, so the overall score here is a 69 out of 100. The reason why the score is coming down is because even though it says that there's a free tier and there's a free tier out there, it's actually pretty expensive if you want to run it at any type of scale. So we gave it a 2 out of 5 from a pricing perspective because honestly it costs money, whereas Google Analytics is free, and we are doing this as a comparison to Google Analytics. But it does really well in a lot of our other categories. Installation ease is a 4, features comparison is a 4, privacy is a 5, obviously because they mentioned privacy out of the gates. Integrations of other products is a 3 out of 5. Report quality and expertise needed are both a 3 out of 5 as well. And so that's where it starts to fall short, is that it's not really as universal as Universal Analytics, and the reports don't look as good. And you have to have a little bit more expertise because Matomo is giving you an option to to store it on your own server, and that takes a lot of effort to set it up. And so if you go with their free version, it might be pretty easy to do, but then once you start getting into the later tiers, you're gonna have yourself some more expertise to get it to do what you want it to do. Okay, tool number 3. It's gonna be controversial because it's not really an analytics tool, it's a platform, and this is Wix Analytics. Now, Wix tells you can make informed decisions with their analytics tool, get actionable info about your website, learn which content is working best, and how your visitors behave. So you can get your key measures in an overview with your website dashboard. You can see where visitors come in from, so on and so forth. You can compare revenue across time. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with this platform. So our overall score as a Google Analytics alternative is a 75. The only thing really holding it down is that it's fairly expensive because it's a all-in-one CMS, and so it's a content management system and not just an analytics tool. And I didn't really factor that into my overall ranking other than the price of it. But I will tell you that if you decided to go to Wix, you would be stuck with a CMS, or you'd have to move things, be a bigger integration project. So even though it's a cool analytics tool, and I really like it, how it's built in, makes installation very easy, there are some challenges you would have if you decided to move over to Wix. But for now, we're just comparing feature for features over Universal Analytics, so we give it a score of 75 overall. Okay, so what makes up that score? Installation ease, it's automatic, so it's a 5 out of 5. Features comparison, there's a lot of features, so 4 out of 5. Privacy score, 4 out of 5 as well. Integrations with other products, we couldn't really see any mentions of them because really the analytics tool is sort of an afterthought on a CMS, so we're giving that a 1 out of 5. But to round it out, we have report quality, 5 out of 5. It looks amazing. And the expertise needed, you don't really need any because it just happens automatically if you have Wix, so we give that a 5 out of 5 as well. And so that's why it ended up ranking so high, because even though there are some deficiencies, even though it's really not what I would view as my choice for a competitor or a replacement to Google Analytics, if you want something all-in-one, you want it to be easy, and you're already paying for a CMS anyway, Wix might actually be the analytics tool that you've always been looking for, and it might have the insights that you need, surprisingly, because it's privacy first, because it's built right onto your web host, and so you don't have to do very much with setting it up. It's 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, we're getting to the home stretch here. Number 2 is Piwik Pro, an analytics suite that focuses on user privacy and data security, and it's the perfect alternative to Google Analytics according to them. You can optimize the customer journey where it was previously impossible, get high-touch customer care and consulting, and get more flexibility to handle data privacy. Our overall score for Piwik Pro is an 80, and that comes down to the several criteria that we have here. So the pricing, we give it a 4 out of 5 because even though there's a free version, which is really quite generous, there are some challenges that you're going to run into if you want to go and pay for something that's a little bit more expensive. So if you get a really big site, it's going to be more expensive than Google Analytics. Although installation, pretty straightforward. Our installation ease score is a 4 out of 5. Features comparison, 4 out of 5. Privacy, 5 out of 5 because it is a privacy replacement. Integrations, 4 out of 5. Report quality, 4 out of 5. It looks pretty darn good. And then as far as expertise needed, we give it a 3. Now, part of the expertise factor here is that there's not as many users on this platform as there is out on Google Analytics, for example. So if you want to get some support and some help, it's going to be a lot harder to find the answers you're looking for because there's not as many people using it. And so one of the things that really works well from an expertise perspective when it comes to GA is that the community has been around for so long and is so open that almost nothing can compare as well from an expertise needed unless it's built in to the CMS like we saw with Wix. And so that's why we have Piwik Pro as the number 2 alternative to Google Analytics and why the overall score is very strong. Okay, it's time for number 1 ranking. And this is where you might be mad at me because the number 1 alternative to Google Analytics Universal is Google Analytics 4. It's our number 1 ranked, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to get into them for you here. So you can get a complete understanding of your customers across devices and platforms. Google Analytics gives you the tools free of charge to understand the customer journey and improve marketing ROI. Okay, so when we talk about GA4, it's hard to mention all the good things without talking about why we love the fact that it's free so much. And so let's talk about GA4 and why it's so important and why it was our number 1 ranking with an overall score of 86 out of 100. Now notice we don't have any perfect 100s. This is the highest scoring tool that we have in here, at least tool that's going to be available for you over the long haul. Okay, so here's what makes up that rating of 86. The price score, free, forever free, and very powerful, so that's a 5 out of 5. Pretty amazing you can have that all in place. Installation ease, we give it a 5 out of 5 because you have tools like Google Tag Manager, as well as enhanced measurement to enhance the installation. And when it comes to comparing features, we give that a 4 out of 5 because the features are very similar to Universal Analytics and new stuff's getting added all the time. Privacy score, a perfect 5 out of 5 because GA4 is much more privacy centric, and as far as we know, it is fully compliant with the GDPR, unlike Universal Analytics, which is the biggest knock on Universal Analytics. Now, the integrations aren't quite as strong as they were with Universal because Universal is around longer. We give it a 4 out of 5 with integrations. Report quality, also 4 out of 5. I don't love the reports, but also if you do some customizations, then you can get the interface to look just like Universal, minus the charts not looking as nice. But honestly, if you want to have good looking reports, you should be using something like Data Studio anyway. Then finally, expertise needed. We give it a 3 because it is still pretty new, so the community hasn't really given all the guides that we need. There's not as much materials out there about how it works as opposed to Universal, so you do need some expertise if you want to make this work. But even with those negative components that we talked about, it is still the highest ranking hosted tool out there and our #1 tool. However, you may have noticed earlier in this video that I said that this list goes up to 11, and so I'm going to bring up an honorable mention tool here, one that's going to be going away on July 1, 2023, and that is Universal Analytics, to give you a comparison as to how this ranks compared to the other tools that are out there. Now, if we were to run Universal Analytics through our same scoring criteria, how would it do? Well, the overall score is a 92, which makes it the highest tool that we evaluated, and it comes down to quite a few factors that make it up. On a pricing score, it's 5 out of 5. Installation ease, 5 out of 5 because of Google Tag Manager. Features comparison score, because we're comparing ourselves to Google Analytics, it's a 5 out of 5. Privacy score, and this is where it gets knocked the most, is a 3 out of 5. It integrates with other products pretty well. Obviously, it's the industry standard, so that's a 5 out of 5. Report quality, also a 5 out of 5. It looks pretty darn good. And then expertise needed, because there's a big community out there, we're giving that a 4 out of 5. You can't really get everything out of it without some kind of expertise, but you can get pretty far, pretty fast using Universal Analytics. And so that's our honorable mention and our benchmark to show you that nothing is better than Universal Analytics in my mind as of now, but there are several alternatives out there, and if you can get past some of those things and you realize that privacy is important, what you'll find is that there are better things out there for moving forward than Universal, and our recommendation at this point as #1 is to use GA4, and then we have Piwik Pro at #2, and if you want to switch your CMS, we have Wix Analytics at #3. Okay, so there you have it, our review of 10 hopeful replacements to Universal Google Analytics, plus a surprise showing from the OG analytics tool that put the word analytics on the map. Now, the leader going into the clubhouse here is GA4. Are you surprised by that? Were you as surprised as me to see Piwik Pro and Wix Analytics as viable contenders? Let me know by leaving a comment. And for more of our research on GA alternatives, be sure to visit our page at ddu.ai/buyga.